Coming up, we've worked hard to bring you another great episode. You know what would make my day? If you listen, yes, but you can really make me smile by subscribing. You can go to offtheNose.com or on whatever platform you're using right now. They all have that little subscribe button. Go there right now, click that, and boom, happy Kelly. If that's not enough, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Insta and Twitter. You can share the episode with your friends or colleagues. So many options to show your love. But let's just start simple and subscribe today, right now. Don't put it off. You guys rock. Hey everyone, I know there is a get out and vote big push, especially by the blue, and I can appreciate it, but can you freaking believe that our choices are Trump and Biden? Really? Let's go.
Gotta get it how it goes now. You gotta take it off the nose. It's off the nose. Gotta get back in control now. Let's stop believing in ourselves. It's off the nose.
So we've got an election coming up in less than 5 months. Everybody's like, get out and vote, rights to vote. All these celebrities like to post their little get out to vote, mostly coming from the blue side. Of course, voting's important. No shit. But have you ever sat back and got your little pen and paper out and done your research and thought about our choices? Can you believe these are the only choices in America for president? Really? Trump at 74 and Biden at 77? Then the other two most powerful people in government, we've got Pelosi at a sprite 80 and Mitch McConnell at 78. This is it? This is the best we can do? How did we get here? How is that? Look, age does matter. Let's not say it doesn't matter, okay? Of course, we should not be held back. Of course, we should live our life to the fullest. Right down till the day I die, I am going for it. I might not have the same spring in my step at some point, and I might forget a few things, but I'm going for it, whatever it is. But should I lead America at that point? Hell no. Hell no. Okay? Look, at 65, physiologically, that's the beginning of old age. All right? But it starts much younger. And if you don't believe me, you're in freaking denial. All right? I don't like it any more than you do. But these are the facts. Are there exceptions? Of course. Okay? So calm down. But the facts are that we peak physically between 25 and 35. All right? I'd like to think I'm living proof that I haven't peaked yet. All right? Maybe you feel that way too. Good for us. But those are the facts, generally speaking. Our intelligence peaks much younger. Much younger. You don't want to know that number because it's in the 20s. All right? Short-term memory starts to decline after the age of 35. And how about empathy? Our ability to identify emotions with others, that's done by the time 50, mid-50s, creeping into 60. So if you take all those things into consideration, that alone should cause some alarm for the fact that the two people running for president and the two leaders in Congress are all above the age of 74. That's the best we can do for y'all. So get excited to go out and vote. Okay, look, women won the right to vote in 1920. So my ass is voting, and I tell everybody that I can see that you gotta vote. But I gotta tell you, it's never been a harder discussion than this year. It just is, because you're really voting for the lesser of the two evils, if you will. And I'm not calling either Trump or Biden evil, all right? I'm just saying, I can't believe this is the best we serve up in America. I think it's sad. So women won the right to vote, so we've got to vote. All races were able to vote starting in 1965. So you got to vote, because just in honor of all the people that fought so damn hard to give us all the rights, we have to vote. All right, I get that. But why are these our only choices? What's it take to be president? What's it take to be leader of the House and the Senate? Why is this what we have? Why is this the situation that we're in? You know, Pelosi was started in Congress in 1987. For freak's sake. Seriously? And Mitch McConnell, 1984. He's been the leader of the Senate since 2004. Why is that? Because there are no term limits. We understand this, right? That's right. Now, there have been lots of bills put forward to try to put limits on this, and I don't need to get into all the details. I will say Supreme Court ruled against the fact that state governments wanted to limit terms for Congress, and they ruled against this in 1995. There's a big push now. Ted Cruz is one of the big leaders of this. He's trying, hard to get this changed, but guess who votes on it? Congress. Yeah. So basically, they're voting themselves out of a job. So I don't know that term limits are going to change anytime soon, but they sure as hell should, because nobody should be able to get elected and stay in a job forever. Don't even get me started on teachers and tenure, because I could go off on that too. It's another show. But, you gotta have fresh thought and fresh perspective and new ideas. What happens if they just settle in, right? I mean, look, it's not all that financially rewarding to be in Congress. They make about $175,000. They do have large staff allowances. The Senate, of course, is the place to be. Their staff allowances are around $3.3 million for each senator. On the House side, $900,000 budgets to put their staff together, but their salary is $175,000, and they can write off, some of their house's expense, because they usually have two houses and things like that. Do they get a break on health insurance rates? Yes, they don't pay our rates. And they do get a pension, but it's like 80% of their salary. So 80% of $175,000. So you're not going into Congress just for the money. Certainly there's a lot of power behind it. Certainly we hope and I believe that a lot of people start with the right intentions. They want to affect change. They maybe had an early, intent to run for the big office one day. So a lot of people go in, with the right thing, but it's not the most financially rewarding. But in the House, you have 2-year terms, and then you're up for re-election. And in the Senate, you have 6-year terms, and they stagger those re-elections. So every 2 years, there's about 30% of senators being re-elected. But you can get re-elected as many times as you want, as I mentioned with Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. It's just wrong. There's a joint resolution 21 out right now to try to limit your time in the Senate or House of Representatives to 12 years. Okay. I mean, that even seems long to me. I'd cut that puppy in half, but 12 years at least, and the thing is, the longer you're in there, these lobbyists that are up there and the relationships that get cemented, and then you start to, you go in maybe with good intentions of working across the aisle, and then you start to slowly, become more politicized and so forth. This is what everyone says happens. So break it up. Don't let them stay up there forever. you got to break up those relationships, mix it up, new people in, fresh ideas. A little naivete is even good. And they break up those lobbyist relationships and they got to start all over. It just seems like we would be better served as Americans if that were the case. So again, Congress has to vote on that. But as we're seeing happen, we, the people, do have a voice, and we can march on up and let our voices be heard, and maybe we can put pressure and support Ted Cruz and others. This is not a certain party. They're working across the aisle. There's Democrats and Republicans in support of term limits. Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you be? Honesty, honest to God. So, that has to happen if we're ever going to have fresh perspective and have a chance at things not being so much about your political party and more about what's the right thing to do for the country, for whatever the situation is. The only way that happens is fresh ideas. And yes, young people, you need diversity. Diversity in age, diversity in ethnicity. Diversity is diversity, okay? So if we've got 2 old white guys running for president and we've got the white woman, 80 years old, running the House of Reps, and we've got an old white guy running the Senate, nothing against being white, okay? Again, not just about age, but all of these things should matter. We should see a mix. It should look like a mix. And only then will you get the best out of people, because you have to hear different perspectives. Otherwise, you're just hearing yourself in your head. I think that's called being crazy. So there's a lot of work to do there. But again, let's put some pressure. Let's get this back up in front of the Supreme Court again. In history, it doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened where the Supreme Court will actually rule the opposite way of how they ruled in the past. So that was a 5-4 vote in 1995. So pretty close. And most of those people are not on the Supreme Court anymore. So we need that pressure. We've got to have term limits. We've got to have fresh blood, if you will, in there. Now let's talk about the president. Oh, Lord. Trump or Biden? So 174, 177. Why don't we have anybody else running? Is it hard to run? I mean, look, I don't know if I'd want to be president right now, right? With social media and the pressures and the regular media all politicized now, not an easy, incredibly tough job today. You've got to have some thick skin. You've got to be a certain kind of person to be able to handle the world today. Kind of like parenting. Parenting's harder today, they say, than, 30 years ago, right? Just the pressures, and a lot of it's social media. Access, to drugs and easy access to things, and just makes it hard. So why don't more people run for president? Well, to run for president, you have to be 35 years old, you have to be born in the U.S., and you have to have lived here for 14 years. There's a shit ton of people that check those boxes. All right, what else? Well, you get a $400,000 salary to be president. Not bad, right? Of course, you get Secret Service for life, and you get health care, and you get $200,000 a year for life as a pension. You get $100,000 a year for life for your staff. And let's not forget the book deals and the speaking engagements, right? i.e. Clinton era. They really taught us how to do it and set the new standard. So thank you, Clintons, for that. So it's pretty appealing. Unlike Congress, it's pretty financially appealing to be president, certainly. If you look at what the president's net worths were over the years, and these are calculated to today's dollars, George Washington, $580 million at his peak. Jefferson, $200 million. Andrew Jackson, $130 million. Of course, JFK, $1 billion. Reagan, $14 million. He was an actor. Senior Bush, $25 million. Junior Bush, $40 million. A lot of oil going on there. Clinton, $75 million. Again, book deals, speaking engagements. Clinton maximized all of that. And then Obama comes on the heels of that. And the Obamas together did a collective book deal worth $60 million. So they're predicted to be worth about $250 million one day. And then Trump, tax returns or no tax returns, multiple sources claim $3 billion in peak net worth. So that's at their peak. So these presidents, almost all, not all, but almost all, made a lot of money. Whether they came in with money, they ended up being very successful financially. So it's very appealing from a financial point of view. Certainly power. You get to travel the world. You get to meet world leaders. You get to have experiences that you would never have before and have access to all of that. Of course, we see all the negative because it plays out before us, whether we like it or not, every day. But it seems, pretty appealing to become president. So why do we have a 74-year-old and a 78-year-old and that's it? I mean, I don't know. The youngest president that we've had was JFK. He was 43. The oldest is Trump, who ran for office at 70. So the median age of all presidents is 55 years old. Look, you and I might differ on what exactly is most important in a president, right? So you do have to have some age to get some experience. I get it. But not 70, all right? Remember the facts at the beginning? We're starting on our decline. Doesn't mean you don't have something to contribute to the world. I just don't want your hand on the button, all right? I don't want you in that spot. There's another spot. Find a different spot. So, Clinton was 46 when he ran, Obama 47, Bush Jr. 54. Okay, I can get my head around those ages. You've put enough in. You got through your stupid 20s, where we're all making dumb mistakes, figuring it out. The 30s, you're really shining, you're growing, you're achieving things. Into your 40s, the maturity has set in. And again, continuing to diversify in your experience. So makes sense. I would be ready to vote for somebody in their late 40s. I think that that's the right time, early 50s. Sounds great. There's going to be enough of a record there where I'm like, I want me some of that. I want them to go take that experience into the White House. All right? So I get it. Minimum age 35. I'm down with that. But how come we don't have a maximum age? Just saying. I know it sounds like I'm discriminating against age. What if I was 74 and I wanted to run? I get it, but I just don't think it's right. Just like with term limits, I might be kicking ass leading in the Senate or the House of Representatives, but I still say my time should come and I should hand the throne over to someone else and get fresh, new ideas, So campaign finance reform, you've heard about it. It costs money to become president, right? Not really. I mean, you really fill out a form and you say, I'm running. But in the end, you've got to run ads. You've got to get your name out there. It costs money, right? So fundraising is a major part of becoming president. We all know this. And there are lots of rules around it. There are various bills trying to get more limits around campaign finance. But to run for House of Representatives, it's about $3 million. To run for the Senate, $10 to $15 million. So Congress, much easier feat. Not to take anything away from them, but much easier to raise that kind of money, right? Cost to run for president, totally different. Listen to this. The Bush-Clinton-Perot. Remember Perot? Yeah, that independent little guy. $360 million is how much those three spent on that campaign. Bush Jr., when he ran, $345 million. Obama, when he ran the first time, $730 million on his campaign. And the second time, $1.1 billion. Unbelievable, right? Here's the kicker. The Trump-Hillary campaign, $1.1 billion combined. Crazy, right? Here's what's crazier. Hillary spent twice as much as Trump, and he still won. It's not usually the case. Usually, the more you spend, you win, okay? Actually, the Trump-Clinton was one of the rare exceptions. So it does take money. You have to be able to fundraise. I remember when I read the history of Obama and how he really didn't want to fundraise in the beginning. And they told him very quickly, you've got to get in a room and be able to pick up that phone and ask for money and hang up and pick up that phone and ask for money again and hang up and pick up that phone and ask for money again. So let us not be in denial or naive about that part of running for president. Okay, a majority of their time, because I know you might feel how I do. I see them out raising money, and sometimes it's like, really? That's what you want to do? That's where you should be spending your time? You're supposed to be out there making sure I have a job, and my investments are protected, and my kids are safe, and you're out, raising money and eating fancy food. But it is a major, right now, that is how you become president. You've got to raise money. You don't necessarily have to have money, but you have to raise money. A lot of presidents do dip into their own pockets. Trump, when he went up against Hillary, put $66 million of his own money versus Hillary only put in $1.4 million of her own money. So Trump decided, I'm going to put some of my own money in and spend less time asking other people for money. Okay, if you have that choice, you can do that. So, you look at what we're dealing with here. Trump versus Biden. There's a big survey. I'm not a big survey girl, but a few things here make sense, and it was a large survey, and it was done by the Pew Research. I actually like this group. And it's really interesting to me because, like I said when I started, it's Trump versus Biden. It's not the election we're all excited about. We do have to vote, yes, because we've earned that right, so we must. But I can't say that everybody is clicking their heels to the ballot box in November. It is the lesser of the two evils, in my opinion. I know who I'm voting for, but it's not like I'm super jazzed, okay? I am jazzed to make sure the things that matter to me are going to be prioritized and taken care of with the person I vote for. So that's how I'm voting. But it would be nice to love who you're voting and believe and, have a JFK moment, if you will. But I don't think that's this election. It's interesting. The majority of people, you see it out on the internet now. If you had to vote today, who would you vote for? Trump versus Biden. It's very interesting that the majority of people who say they would vote for Biden if they had to today, the majority, 76% of those people are voting for Biden simply not to vote for Trump. That blew me away because that is so sad to me. And I've got to get, my early adult kids excited to vote, and other people I talk to, and certainly other kids, make sure you're voting. We've won this right, and you want to be excited and passionate about it. And most people who are voting for Biden are simply because they don't want to vote for Trump. Okay. Most people don't think that Biden will be, good, but they're voting for him because they think he's the lesser of the two evils. Literally, this is what came out in this huge survey. Biden gets the best for temperament, of course. Join Twitter. You'll figure that one out. Trump blows Biden away when it comes to being energetic. Yes, this comes down to the facts of life as we age. We all age differently, but we all age. And what's very apparent with Biden is, frankly, frightening. And I think even if he were to get elected, I think he could get impeached because I don't think he's going to have the mental capacity. I think there's a big argument there. So if you vote for Biden, you're definitely voting for whoever the VP running mate is, which we still don't know. Trump is low on bringing people together, low on unity. Biden is better, but not high, right? So Biden's this kind of guy in the middle, If you voted today, men are equal between Trump and Biden. Women slightly more towards Biden. Black is Biden. Overwhelmingly, Black people are saying they will vote for Biden. Hispanic, slightly more to Biden. Trump has definitely mastered the older population. Trump supporters, that he has lost since the last campaign, or who are right now not sure, are definitely younger and lower income. My guess would be Corona. Corona is having a big effect on that because, not a lot of people look at the macro on that. It's just boom. Did you put more money in my pocket? Doesn't matter whether I saved money or I was responsible or I really tried hard to go get a different job or pick up new skills. No. Most younger people, right? We all have been younger, and if you're listening, you're younger. I'm sorry, but when we're younger, we tend to blame others and we want to look outside. Then we mature and we start to take our own accountability. So there's some lost young people right now who are in a scary time, and I get that. And Trump is in charge right now, so they're definitely going to blame Trump. Look, overwhelmingly, people are angry right now. There is a tremendous amount of fear. I talked to my psychologist friend the other day, and she's just slammed with, all kinds of people, all kinds of socioeconomic, ethnicity, all kinds of different jobs, situations. And the one common thread is fear, anxiety, and so Corona is very scary. We learn new things every day about it. So it's not a concrete thing that we can get our head around. Okay, this is what it is. This is what it will do. And this is when it will be over. We don't know. The scientists are arguing amongst themselves. And we learn new information every day. And we don't have a vaccine. That creates anxiety for sure. Racial relations, the social injustice, marching down streets, and the gun ownership being skyrocketing. This leads to tremendous amount of anxiety. And then we've got an election, coming up. So, which creates even more anxiety. I'm anxious because we have Trump or Biden. I mean, I don't love either choice. I love America. And I love that people fought their asses off so I could vote. So I'm going to vote. But I'm telling you, do your homework. Do your homework. Sit down in a quiet space, not with all the bullshit and all the headlines, okay? And don't be afraid of what you really might think in your head. Sit down with yourself and think about what really matters to you. That's what I've done. I'm like, what do I want in a president, And I want a winner. That's what I want. I want a winner. I want a negotiator. I want someone who is strong. They walk into a room and I'm like, that's a strong guy, or that's a strong woman. I want someone patriotic. I want them to know the fight that people have gone through in America and respect that and never feel like we couldn't be in that moment again. So I want someone to be patriotic, decisive, assess the situation, get all the facts, surround yourself with super smart people, and then make quick decisions. I want them to have a track record of disruption, achievements, and what I really don't care about, let me say it, not that I don't care about, but it is last on the list when I sat down and made this list, was how likable they are. Look, would I love to get all of the things I just said, and I actually want to hang out with the guy? I'll take a jog with him or have a beer? Of course. That's why this election is so sad, because nobody has all of this. And so we have to sit down and say, okay, what is most important to me? To me, what's most important is somebody who represents America with strength. Nobody's going to walk all over us. Somebody who wants to make sure manufacturing is here. That we manufacture great products in America, because we lost our ass over the past, 20 years. And look where we are. We saw it during Corona as we sat around with our fingers up our you-know-what, waiting for China to send us masks and PPE equipment. That's sad and disgusting, right? So, Andrew Yang, here was a guy, he's 45 years old, came out of nowhere, to me at least, had a lot of these qualities and was creative. All right, he was creative. He was an early Democratic nominee, and I guess in the end couldn't get enough money and enough following. The field narrows as it does. I don't know why, because he had fresh ideas. I don't know everything he was for, but I watched intently and listened, and somebody like that, Pete Buttigieg, Candace Owens, she's out everywhere talking. I do like some of her commentary, but she's not qualified to be president. So, you still have to have certain qualifications, in my opinion. The Democrats and Republicans have rising star list. But it's funny, I look at all these lists, on the Democrat side, it's like Ruben Gallego and Joe Kennedy III and Seth Moulton. And on the Republican side, Nikki Haley, you hear about Charlie Baker, Will Hurd, Mia Love, Josh Hawley, a few more. Some different races in there, women. So that's good. A little more diversity in these quote unquote rising talents. And these people are young in their 30s and 40s. So like to see that. But those are all political people. That I do not believe that somebody with a political background, solely or mostly political background, should be president. You've never run a company. A governor at least has run a state with a budget and decision-making that looks like a company. But if you're just in Congress your whole life, I don't see how that makes you qualified for president. It doesn't for me. It might for someone else, but it doesn't for me. So, come this election, those are the things that matter to me. I'm going to vote the lesser of the two evils. I'm going to vote for who sits down at the table and gets shit done. I'm not voting for who I like, okay? The emotions are out of it, because I can vote for who I like and nothing will get done. And I won't have any money, and my investments will go down, and I will be out of a job, and my kids won't be able to go to college affordably, and on and on and on. So I got to take likeness out of it, all right? I wish Twitter would go the hell away and be gone with your bad self. But, for who I vote for, I'm looking at 4 more years of some Twitter twatter. I'll just have to choose to ignore it and stay off of it. But, yes, I'm voting for Trump. I don't want to date Trump, to be clear. I don't want Trump anywhere near me in a social setting because he doesn't represent, all the other stuff, right? And I think probably if I got to know him, I would see some of those other sides that he doesn't do a good job of showing, but he does enough that irritates the shit out of me and doesn't make me completely proud when he speaks a lot. But he's got these other things, and when I made my list, he checked those boxes, all right? So emotion out of it. Who do I think is going to do right by the most Americans? And he's not eloquent, and he's not going to communicate it the best, but you got to look at track record. You got to look at how somebody handles themselves. You got to look at mental capacity, all right? I mean, you cannot ignore this. We cannot ignore these facts about Joe Biden. Joe Biden looks like a really nice guy. I feel for his personal tragedies he's gone through, but I'm not voting for a nice guy. I don't need a nice guy. I don't need to date just a nice guy, and I definitely don't need a nice guy in the White House. I want a guy who's going to take care of America, make sure Americans are working, make sure we're buying stuff and producing it in America, make sure we are an inclusive community by the law, and that's what I think. That's what I think we're going to get. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of fear and a lot of anger. And whoever you decide, just make sure you do your work. So what's the outtake on today's message? Yes, rock the vote. We have to rock the vote. But let's also work on reversing the age. Until next time.
Better change up your perspective. It's something new.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Remember our little talk before the show? Yep. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, share, all that jazz. It matters, people. You matter. Thanks again for listening. See you soon.